Okay, so this video is going to talk about modifiers. Now, in Chapter 3, Figure 3.1, there's a list of modifiers. I'm just going to go through those briefly and either explain which one, explain times that I've seen them used, and tell you which ones are probably the most important that you need to know. So the first one up is modifier 22. Now 22 is for any time you have a service that you're performing that you're doing more work than what you typically do. The way I normally see this is if you're doing a complicated delivery in the hospital, when you code the physician portion of it, you code the delivery code -22 indicates it indicates a more complicated delivery. I'm just going to type this out here. The next one is 47. 47 is typically, I don't see used a whole lot. I've never used it. It just means that instead of the anesthesiologist doing the anesthesia, it's the surgeon. 50 is one that you will need to know. 50 is what's called a bilateral procedure. Okay? You know that there's an RT and an LT modifier. Well, this is both of them at the same time, rather than using a right and a left. Some codes are already bilateral, and you'll need to make a note of those. It'll say in the text. Others are only unilateral, one side or the other, and on those you'll have to use the 50 modifier if it was indeed done on both sides. The next one is multiple procedures, 51. 51 is not used a whole lot. It's typically done with surgeons if they're doing a procedure and then while they're in there they decide to do another procedure that's related to the same case but a separate and distinct procedure. 52, reduced services. This one I have seen used in family practice. If you're doing an IUD insertion and it fails, you would use this modifier to let the company know that the procedure wasn't tolerated by the patient very well. The next one up is 53, which is discontinue procedure. That is a procedure where you have decided not to do the procedure at all. So for example, with the IUD beforehand, if you decided not to do any other contraceptive measures, then the whole procedure would be scrapped and then you could still bill for it, but with a 53. Typically 53 will lower your payment. 54, surgical care only, is not used too much. Neither is 55, 56, or 58. 59 is used a lot. Now 59 basically says that there is a distinct procedure, same physician, same day. This is used even in office. If somebody comes in for a freezing of warts and a cerumen impaction removal and then also needs some lab tests done, then between the wart removal and the cerumen impaction, one of them will get the 59 modifier. Now, typically in practice, it does not matter which one gets it. The common thinking is that you put it to the one that gets you paid the least. The thinking is that if you put a modifier on something, most likely it's going to get denied first. So you get paid for the one that pays you the most, and then if the other one gets denied, well, at least you got paid for the one that would get you the most reimbursement. 62 is to surgeons. I don't see that one a whole lot. 63, procedures performed on infants less than 4 kilograms. That's pretty self-explanatory. 66 is if there's a surgical team as opposed just to a physician. 73, 74 all have to do more with anesthesiology. 76 is where you're doing the same procedure by the same physician. 77 is a repeat procedure by another physician. One thing I should say is that some of these CPT codes have what are called global periods. So if you come in and you have an abscess and the physician drains it, 10 days, they cannot charge any care related to that drainage. it is considered within the global period. Now, if after that time they do it again, then it would be considered a separate service and they wouldn't need to do anything different. So if you're within the global period and you do the same procedure, you would use modifier 76 to indicate that this was the same procedure within the global period. 77 is the same thing. 78 is just an unplanned procedure that needed to be done. 79 is an unrelated procedure. 80 is assistant surgeon. This one I see a lot in C-sections. What will happen is the surgeon will perform, and they will perform the C-section without a modifier, and then the family practice physician will assist, and they'll bill with the 80 modifier. What that will do is that the family practice physician will only get 20% of the entire reimbursement, and the surgeon will get 80%. 81 isn't used a whole lot, neither is 82. 99 is never used. That's outdated information. Other ones that you'll want to be aware of is left. That's only if it's a unilateral procedure. Right. Again, only if it's unilateral. Another one that I didn't see mentioned, and maybe I breezed by it. Let me double check here. Yeah, I'm really surprised. It's 25. Now, just like 59 is a distinct procedure, 25 is a distinct E&M code. Same physician, same day. Okay. If somebody comes in for their annual exam and they decide to talk with the physician about their diabetes, hypertension, hyperlipidemia, COPD exacerbation, etc. ad nauseum, then what ends up happening is the physician will actually bill 2 visits, one for the annual exam and one for all the other issues that were brought up, and will append a 25 modifier that says, okay, this was different than the annual exam, and he will normally get paid for both of them. Most insurances will accept this modifier and will not change reimbursement. Just for professional development, the only weird one that I know of is Aetna. If you do 2 E&Ms on the same day, they require that the office visit be a 99212. Something they set up. If you charge anything more than that, it doesn't get paid. Other modifiers that may be used, there's a section in there about physical status modifiers. I don't see that used a whole lot. Your F6 T9s are not typically used. GA, GG are not used. Interestingly enough, if you go into work for residency, there's 2 that you'll get is GC and GE, which states that this was seen by the resident either under direct supervision of another physician, or GE is that it's an exception to that rule. I can go more into detail if you're into that, but I'm not going to expect you to know it for the test. And that's basically it on modifiers. Know that if you do a bilateral procedure modifier, you will get paid full price for the code, and usually they will tack on another 50%. For 52 or 53, they will usually reduce it, depending on what your contract is. So I think that will be it, and I will have another video for you guys tomorrow night, just as an overview of the CPT book.